How do you approach finding relationships with the government or the accelerators
Mm-hmm.
for people who are newer to the space of entrepreneurship? Welcome to Startup in Nation. I am Meng Fei and I'm the podcast host. So today I have my
Mm-hmm.
friend Renan with me. He's actually one of my first entrepreneur friends that I met in San Francisco. Renan, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, your background, and who you are?
Yeah, let's go. I started as fashion designer in my career, but when I started getting famous and international exposure, I was starting to reflect, is this what I want for my life?
Mm.
And then maybe no. So I started doing MBAs in Japan and in Spain, and I learned a bunch of things. And I realized that I need to solve a global problem with a local knowledge. And then I found that one problem is people keep washing their clothes, and this impacts the society, water contamination, clothes fading, you need to buy new clothes, and this can be like a huge good impact. And then I started doing this product, and I won an award by Southwest in 2016. But then through this journey I was pivoting, and I discovered that the root of our body odor, it's caused by clothes, and then this is a huge and bigger problem for society. And then we pivoted to solve this problem. And then my company raised some rounds, and then by the end of previous year I decided to see a new adventure for me. So I traveled 13 countries with my son, and then I saw that San Francisco is the best place in the world to be right now.
What made you decide that San Francisco is the best place to be?
So one point is that I hired like one of the best coaches from San Francisco, like growth hackers, like coach from Sam Altman, all those people. I spend all my money paying for those guys to coach me, and they opened my vision and show, hey, now society is in this transformation of AI, and this is the right moment to be here. But not just that, people in San Francisco are mouthy, so they talk about things, they teach each other, they help each other. If you want to make a successful company, you need to be here. And I need to go there to check. And when I got here, I just met incredible people and everybody eager to help me. And it's a community of everyday learning, and this is really exciting.
So, before you were in Brazil and you also started your startup there, I'm curious about what are the differences that you've observed between the Brazilian startup ecosystem compared to the American one, especially the one in San Francisco?
I think it's not just Brazil, but all countries try to create their own version of startup ecosystem. Even in Brazil, we have different cities that are trying to create this San Francisco thing. But I realized that, I don't know if it's a good news, but I feel that it's impossible because here you have founders with previous exit success. Not just one, maybe 3, 4, and they keep going to events and connecting and helping people to make the same success that they had. So this fulfilled them. And when we go to other countries, we see first time or maximum second time founders trying to create some successful startups with mentors that come from traditional business. And mentors from traditional business block all the innovation from startup. And second is because all the literature that we read in other countries was made here. And those people you can meet here without any effort.
It's like the legacy of the startup ecosystem that started here and the foundations that were created here has allowed this ecosystem to continue to go on because of the support from the previous successful founders and all the resources that come from them as well. Are there different type of industries that you've observed that are more popular in San Francisco or are more popular in São Paulo or the startup ecosystems there?
I see that São Paulo and Brazil in general, they try to replicate what is successful abroad. So, have this startup that is chance to become a unicorn, and no one's doing that in Brazil. investors gonna back some entrepreneur, usually from outside the country, to build this in Brazil. Usually they don't back people from Brazil to build that, because people from Brazil don't have the network and the experience to build a successful big startup. Of course, that have exceptions, but everybody reach a ceiling and start struggling because they stop having the network required to receive the inputs that create the ideas to go to the next level.
Like there's a limitation
Yeah.
because the ecosystem is not developed enough. So what happens is a lot of these investors end up investing abroad anyway.
Yeah, and also if they invest in startups or in founders from abroad to build it in Brazil, also those founders get stuck in a level after they become unicorn, because okay, now what we're gonna do? And they don't have more the network from abroad, and they don't have the network from San Francisco to know what is the things that are working right now that they should try. So they keep like waiting what's happening outside.
So what was the advantage of starting the startup that you did have in the personal hygiene space? What's the advantage of starting that within Brazil, and why did it work? And also, are there just in general advantages for entrepreneurs in Brazil?
The advantage is that our currency is undervalued, so we don't have the money to go abroad and try build the company here. It's really hard. So my idea was, I build the company in Brazil, I prototype like an MVP, I validate the demand, and then I go to a bigger country that have like a higher demand. Brazil is in the third ranking for deodorants globally. So for me, it was natural. Okay, I'm gonna try here. If it works here, of course, that's gonna work in other countries.
So what are the other countries that you're looking at right now for your company?
So we have patents in Mexico, India, that's the second on the ranking, and US, that's the first in the ranking.
How did you decide on these countries?
For US, it's the best place now because the industry is well developed. So machinery and expertise, it's really easy to progress. In those 30 were underdeveloped countries, they are just focusing in like high volume production. And for a startup, you need to keep pivoting and doing small batches and iterating with the customers. And here have all the structure that enable that.
So one of the things I know is that you are thinking of also expanding your business to Japan. I'm curious of why you've decided that Japan might be a good spot, and what do you see are the opportunities there?
For me, like I would love to retire in Japan because it's like a very structured place to live. Infrastructure is really good, but trying to go to that country is really hard. Like a deodorant is considered a medicine, and you have like a bunch of protocols I can't do by myself, and I can go to jail if I make some mistake. So they don't allow you to innovate there. So the process to go to Japan, it's really complex for a simple product that in other countries is just over-the-counter product. So we are doing like a slow process, meeting companies, trying to figure, even not in Japan, all Asia I tried, and it's really hard. It's the same thing as underdeveloped countries. They have a bunch of strict rules that avoid innovation, and by avoiding innovation, gatekeepers can keep you occupying this space.
So when you decide that you want to expand your products to like Mexico or US or like Japan, what is the homework that you have to do?
So when I did one of my MBAs in Spain, they showed me a chart, and I can share with you later, showing how to make a successful startup in Europe. You need to connect with the industry, you need to connect with the government, you need to connect with startup accelerators, schools, universities, everything need to be connected. So if your company generates value for all these stakeholders and they generate value for you, the chance to be successful is really high. And so like first I didn't move to a country, but in Brazil it's considered almost a different country. That's Amazonia rainforest. And I went there, I built relation with the government, I built relation with the main stakeholders on the city, on the state, or on the country. And then we got investors and we built the structure there, and now it's running. And now the mission is US, do the same thing, build relation with everybody, and then every country that we go, we start from scratch.
Something I really love about you, Renan, is the fact that you make everything seem so easy because you just do it. How do you approach finding relationships with the government or the accelerators for people who are newer to the space of entrepreneurship and may not have as many connections? What are some of the advice that you can share on how you navigated these spaces to meet the people that you need to meet?
Yeah, this journey, I am, let's say, at least 11 years reading a bunch of books. And everything that you need to build a startup is written on books. So you don't need to reinvent anything. You just go to the classic books like Lean Startup and you follow that path and it really works. But what happens is that when we get insecure is because we are trying to go with our beliefs and not with the process that is required. So every time you need to start from the zero stage, that is talking to potential customers, understanding if the demand exists. Like when I went to Japan, I just went on Eventbrite trying to find events in Japan and co-working with people and talk with people and then asking, hey guys, what do you think about the smell of this product? And they give feedback of the smell, and then I change, and then I go to another event or I meet again and hey, try now this.
So that's interesting. So you basically go online and you look at the events that are in that area, and then you go to the co-working spaces or you meet people at the event and you give people your products and say, can you try it?
Yes.
And then they will try it for you.
Yeah, because when you go to this entrepreneurs group, everybody asks, what you do? And then I say, I'm doing this. And if someone express some excitement, I have a room with 5 people and 2 express excitement. It's a good percentage. Can I scale this proportion? Then maybe I'll go to another event with 50 people and see if 20 get excited. So I see that this proportion can scale to this community. And this shows that I can have product market fit.
I love that approach. I also have a question around like how you're able to go from one industry to another, right? And I think this is probably somewhat similar to the last question, which is like, how are you able to just go from initially fashion to then going into entrepreneurship in the deodorant space to now you're more in the space of AI? And Renan, you learned how to code within like a couple of months and are now deep into the hacker circle here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And how do you go from one country to another so it seems like so easily and smoothly?
Yeah, for me, it's like a part of my enjoyment process. For me, learning is something that excites me. So I want to break rules, see a new technology and test this new technology and be part of building something. And when I see that my career is reaching a plateau, I choose to stop on the top rather than stop on the bottom. So I have this curve, and when it's reaching a plateau, I start another curve in another part of my life. And also to have in the mindset of being an expert beginner.
An expert beginner. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So I want to be expert in a bunch of things, but what I want to be expert most is how to be a beginner. So I approach life and problems as a curious boy of, let's say, 4 or 5 years old, 7 years old, that just want to break this toy and understand how it works. And then at some moment I find, oh, this works this way, but everybody's doing that way. Why? This way works way better. Hey, let's show to people. Let's see if they want to see this new way. And people say, oh, I like this way. It's way simple, you know?
It's like letting your curiosity
Yeah.
drive you
Yeah.
whenever you go from one
Yeah.
thing to another.
Yeah, and I see like money and career is a consequence. It's not that I'm successful. It's not that I'm like rich and don't need to do anything. But when I reach moments where my life gets stable, then I get frustrated because I want more excitement, more enjoyment, and buying new things don't fulfill me. I need to insert new references in my life, and I need to get out my comfort zone in Brazil and come here to San Francisco, live like a middle lower class entrepreneur and learn everything, and with the hope to reach the level that I'm aiming by connecting with the people, the right people to surround me. But what am I gonna do when I reach this level that I'm aiming? I don't know where's the next point to be, but I'm curious to reach there.
So in the process of that, do you ever get rejections, and how do you face that?
Yeah, I think rejection is the standard. I always expect rejection. So I hope for the best, but I'm prepared for the worst.
Shifting a little bit to, I think, a question that a lot of people might be curious about. If you're open to it, I would love to understand, how were you able to get your visa coming from Brazil to the US so quickly, and also in such a short amount of time get your son here too? Because there might be entrepreneurs who are out there who are from a foreign country and they have families and they don't really know how to navigate the space of visas, especially in the US nowadays.
I have an approach that I always want to be surrounded by the best. So before doing any movement, I always research who is the best in this space, who is the best legal company, who is the best AI, who is the best whatever. And then I try to hire those people and say, hey, this is my history, this is my inspiring history, this is my desires for a beautiful future. Then some people get touched by my inspiring idea and yeah, we can help you. And they say, oh, but your price is like impossible for me. Can you give me a discount? I can pay you installments. And then I start dealing, because in third world countries, we are used to deal every day.
Like negotiating, handling.
Yes, because you don't have any other option. So here, people in US, I see that people are not comfortable asking for discounts, but I'm asking because I need, right? So I choose to be in the survivalship mode. So now I need to be around the best. So you need to pay $250 to have a call with this lawyer. Keep 15 minutes. Oh shit, okay, I don't care. Let's have this call. And then I ask a bunch of questions. They guide me through the broad vision. Of course that we can use AI, but when you talk with a lawyer and you explain the nuances of your trajectory, they give you some clues on how things works.
So the key is to find the best lawyers out there.
Yes.
And then potentially haggle or negotiate with them.
Yeah.
By moving their hearts and touching them.
Yeah. And you can ask, you can ask me and I can share the links. And sometimes you get frustrated because you do your due diligence and they don't want to work with you. And then you go to the second best. And you go to the third best. Even for like a personal trainer. I came here in US for a personal trainer because I have a back pain my whole life. My whole life researching chiro and everything. And then I found one trainer that just look my body and say, you need to stretch this part of your leg to fix your back. I said, no, I can't believe it. And he'd say, it's $150 my class, and you need to pay $600 up front to start for classes. Oh shit, let's go. I closed my eyes and did the first class, boom, no more back pain. So I did 3 classes for 3 months. I stopped doing because no more back pain. Because he taught me the right thing to do.
That's why you spend a lot of money to invest in the best people.
Yeah.
And those people will help solve your problems. And it's like...
They solve my problem for me.
So what were some of the things that you wish you had known when you moved to San Francisco? I'm sure there's been some challenges along the way as well. For foreign entrepreneurs out there who want to move to San Francisco, what are some of the things that you can advise them that you hadn't known when you first moved here?
I think the point is that San Francisco have a bunch of events. It's really exciting. I went to like I think 180 events in 6 months.
Maybe I think that might be a record.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should ask Luma.
Yeah. And I went like to 3 events per day. I really want to crack the code, understanding who was the best event organizers, who have the best guests, speakers, and I exposed myself to do that. The good part of San Francisco is that everybody is happy to help each other. Everybody is eager to see others people successful. There is no envy, not jealousy. They really want to help people be successful and be involved on their success.
And for people who might want to break into the Brazilian market, do you have advice for those entrepreneurs?
I don't know. I think a bunch of entrepreneurs they keep coming here to US with a pitch deck and hoping to find investors. But the market's changed completely. Now investors want to see strong track records of sales and a predictable motion on how you're gonna bring more sales after you raise money. And for me, nothing changed because this is Brazil playbook always. Investors, even angel and friends, they don't invest in you if you don't have a ready track record in what you are building. So people that want to go to Brazil, they already need to have track record. Otherwise, they need to be really successful or coming from Stanford and have like this huge background and family network to be able to raise and build something there.
So the key is really having some sort of a background that gives you credibility.
Yeah.
Whether that's already having success in your company or having the education or some sort of a job background that is good branding. So branding is pretty important.
Yeah, but usually depends on the stage of the entrepreneur. So the first stage of the entrepreneur, they need to join a startup accelerator because those startup accelerators is who have the contact with the investors, and they will share with the investors if you are a good person to be invested or not. This is what happened with me. I joined accelerators in Brazil, a bunch, like 5. Yeah, and each one I was getting better and better and better, and then the last one was part of a Google campus. So it was accelerator inside Google campus, so I have like a huge network. And the startup accelerator didn't end up investing in me because I was solo founder, but the employees saw like how much I hustle to build things. And when the investors ask what startups they recommended me because they saw that I will make the thing happen no matter what. Like I was shipping faster than 6 people because I was sleeping in their office, without their know. They just arrive in the office. I was like waking up and do the job. They say, "Well, this guy is crazy. They really want to do this happen." Yeah.
So it seems like in terms of accelerators, there's a lot of different types, and there are US companies that have accelerators within Brazil, and those could be some of the reputable ones that people could search out for.
Yeah. I think if you are a first-time founder, go to an accelerator that accepts you, and then you go raising your bar and go into the next accelerator. So you don't, your pitch for the good accelerator, like let's say Y Combinator, usually Y Combinator brings startups from founders that worked in big tech, right? This is their most types of founders that they bring inside. So if you don't have that, you need to have the language really fine-tuned on your pitch. Y Combinator said that they see many projects with the same pitch. How they choose? They choose by the entrepreneur. So we think that from those 10 projects, we think that this entrepreneur is the best because he worked at Uber or Tesla, and he did that in the past, or he had like a previous exit, or he have like a unique way to write that shows that he's clear and concise and direct to the point.
So it's whether you are in Brazil or in the US, showing yourself as the entrepreneur and really showing your character is really important.
Yeah, you need to be really authentic because the market, people, everybody knows each other. So if you mess one time, everybody gonna know that you messed. So don't lie to no one. Be really a trustful person.
Be genuine and be
Yeah.
authentic. For someone who's done business both in Brazil and is trying to break into Japan and now is in the US, what do you think should be the ideal relationship between startups and government and academia as well? And how can they better partner with each other to promote a better startup ecosystem?
So usually when I talk with a government, universities, the framework that I learned in Europe, I apply it in Brazil and it worked really good because the investors saw, wow, you have partnership with academia. Academia backs you. They do the research for you. You know, I built all this network and this increased my, okay, you are solo founder, but you are reliable. Everybody's trusting you.
How did you have that partnership with academia?
It's long term. You need to build relation and prove that you can ship things and you can give things and you are eager to bring them alongside with you to do this together. But it's hard to talk with academia. I did a master, so I know a bit their struggle, but they like me because I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want to just publish a paper. So I'm in this middle term that I think this is the best spot because I can converge both universes. So if you can talk the same language from those universes, build relationships, like I went to a master to acquire the language. And I went to startup accelerators to acquire the language.
What is the framework that you learned in Europe that you ended up applying to help with partnership with academia?
Yeah, basically it's a map that they put academia, enterprise, government, everything, and everything needs to be connected. So when your company is successful, you need to hire students that goes out from university. So when I was doing my company, I was showing to the university, hey, I want to hire students. So they were, oh, nice. So let's help you. So when you give what they want, you have what you want.
And what about with the government?
In my case, I had lucky because they have a program that they want to show to other countries that Brazil is an innovator country, that they have innovation. So they choose some companies, entrepreneurs, startups that they see that have potential, and they paid an accelerator to train us and give mentorship in a bunch of aspects, and then bring us to events abroad to show our ideas, and all those things build my relation with government and then increase my trust.
Something that I've noticed a lot is that there's actually a lot of government programs that really promote entrepreneurship, and they're very well funded as well. And a lot of times they don't have enough talent entering that system. And so I think I definitely really encourage people who are interested in entrepreneurship to also look at some of the government programs that are out there to support, kind of like what you did, Renan, is doing the research.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm hearing a lot from this talk and this chat is that really, really understanding the research and taking the time to search up different programs, different accelerators, to search up and do your due diligence with the people that you want to talk to, the lawyers that you want to hire, is going to bring you a very long way. And it's an underlying principle that seems to...
Yeah, and also, like, I don't care if I do the dirty work, because I was remembering now that when I was in Brazil, the person that connected me with the government was a guy that I was doing a freelance job for a blogger. He needed a photographer, and I said, okay, I can do some photos for you for free, just for fun. Because I knew that it will expand my network. I'm going to photograph people and I'm going to take their contact. And one guy said, oh, this guy is really cool. And we become friends. And this guy that I photographed, he was one of the mentors of this program. And after 1 year or two, he said, oh, you need to meet this guy, because he was hustling, become a photographer to fund his company, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of like really sharing your value, sharing the value that you can provide on the table first before trying to take from anyone. And in that way, you were also able to network. And that opportunity of you volunteering also provided a lot of value to you as well.
But what is scary is that you can't predict the consequences of the network that you are doing now. So you can't like undervalue any people that you meet, and you can't undervalue any job that you take. This job, if it exposes you to more people, it can give you more opportunity.
Never undervalue anyone. Always show your respect. Always show your curiosity.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thanks so much for chatting with me, Renan.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.